What job am I suited for? In this video, we will cover 5 foolproof steps to help you answer that question. Hi, I'm Emil Christopher, and if you want to find and nurture your ideal occupation or business niche, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you know whenever a new video comes out. Although we publish daily, so I shall change that. Step 1. What do you want to get out of your work life? This is simple. What is it that you're looking for when you're thinking of what will be a job that suits you? Are you thinking about a job that just gives you the amount of money you want to be making? Are you looking for a job in which you feel like you are making a difference? Or are you looking for something to do in which you feel like you're good at doing it, you're good at what you do, and you're getting some recognition? I don't know, maybe you just want to be happy with what you're doing, right? So this is important, this step, because at the end of the day, there are many potential jobs out there, or even things that are not necessarily jobs, that you could be a good fit for. But not all of them will have the rewards that you're looking for, the rewards that will actually fulfill you according to your personal values. Alright, so now that you've answered what is it that matters most to you, what is it that you want to get out of a job or an ideal job for you or your work life, then we go into step 2, and that is decide on the approach that you're going to take in order to figure out what job suits you. Yes, you could go online and take some personality test, but that's not necessarily going to give you something that's going to be very helpful. So, what could you do? In my mind, there are at least 2 good approaches that you can use in order to figure that out. One of them is what I like to call the shooter approach, and the other is the one I like to call the comprehensive approach. So, when it comes to these, what is the difference? Well, the shooter approach is one in which you go in quickly, you narrow down the options of potential occupations that you might like, and then you start trying them out. Not necessarily going full blown into it, but learning more about them, talking to people who are in them, and trying them out. Because at the end of the day, the single biggest determinant or test that will let you know if something is for you is actually trying it out for a period of time and learning how it actually feels to be in the shoes of people who do the thing every single day, as opposed to just learning about it or having an idea of what it is like instead of just doing it. Doing will always beat thinking about it, analyzing, or not doing anything with it, okay? So that is the shooter approach. For the shooter approach, my recommendation will be to take a test that will allow you to narrow down the options very quickly, and then with the top choices, start trying them out one after the other. So for example, if you take a test that tells you maybe you are a good manager, maybe you will be a good person, a farm manager, or you will be maybe a good dentist. Well, that one's a little harder to try, but you can still get an idea for the feel of the day-to-day, right? And that's something that you can do. Now, the other approach, the comprehensive approach, is the one in which you actually go in and instead of just taking one test that tells you like, okay, these are the options, you go in and you really test yourself a little bit more to really get a better 360 idea of who you are as a person. In that way, you will go in and you'll try to figure out what is it that you have as your values, what are the rewards that matter most to you, what are some of the activities that actually make you feel alive. I'm not talking about passion here, I'm talking about the activity that you enjoy doing just for doing it. And what are some of the fields and topics that interest you? What are some of the work cultures in which you will develop well, according to your personality, right? Among many other things. So now you will think, okay, so if I can do the shooting approach, which is much quicker, I take just one test and I start trying things out, which at the end of the day is what's really going to tell me what's best for me, right? Why will I even go and bother with the comprehensive process, which sounds like it's a lot of tests and a lot of like putting them all together and seeing what are the options, how do we narrow them down, right? Well, the answer for this reason, and why I feel like if you have the time, and you probably should, because at the end of the day, this is something that can be very important for you. If you want to have a long-term success when it comes to your work life, maybe you should put more emphasis and time into it. But I understand that people are different, and some people prefer the shooting approach, which can work fine. But the difference, to me at least, is that when you go with the comprehensive process, you are not making assumptions. For example, if you do the shooting approach and you take just one test, that test already is making some assumptions. For example, maybe you are the kind of person who will be better off doing something for yourself or starting a business on the side and then potentially being a business owner or doing something else with your life, not necessarily a job in the traditional sense of the word. So if you go with a shooter approach and you take a test that's meant to tell you like what kind of job is best for you, then that's exactly what it's going to throw back at you. What you put in is what you get out, in the terms of, okay, so these are the jobs that will be best for you, so we are immediately assuming that what's best for you is a job. Does that make sense? If so, comment below. So with the comprehensive process, we don't do that. Another failure, I wouldn't say failure, limitation of the shooting approach will be that you narrow down the choices based on the test that you took, and then you simply try them out, and maybe you didn't like any of them, or maybe not every one of them or each of them are ideal. You don't find one that's completely ideal for you. Maybe the one you enjoy the most is being a cop, but maybe that's not giving you enough money or the lifestyle that you need. You would like to try something else. Maybe you will be better off building a business on security or on training cops or something along those lines. We don't know, because that's the process that we used. But if, and again, you narrow down the choices, you try them out, and then you don't have any other choices to try. But if we go with the comprehensive process and we narrow down the choices and then you try them out, but they don't work out, that's fine, because we already put the prep work in to know you as a person better, and we have something to fall back into so that we can actually think, okay, so this didn't work out, but since you are this way, you tend to be extroverted in this sense, you'll tend to like this topic instead, why don't we go and try out these other choices that we can potentially come through? I don't like asking if this makes sense so far, but I believe it does. If not, comment below anyways, please. Alright, so you've made it this far and you already know what you're looking for out of your work life, and you also know the approach that you're going to take. Maybe you just want to be a shooter, go ahead, try it out, that's perfectly fine. It works well for many people if they actually try the occupations and they keep at it. Or you went with the comprehensive process. Either way, the step 3 is to actually test yourself. That means to actually go out and take a test in order to figure out what are some of the narrower options, because there's a lot of things you can do out there. There's more than 800 different occupations, and you want to narrow down the field, right? So you already picked your approach, you go and you take your test. What kind of test can you take? Well, at the end of the day, one of the most important things is the activity that you're doing, something that's actually matching with your interest. What do I mean by interest? Some of us have interest when it comes to growing things. Maybe you're interested in persuading people. Maybe you're interested in repairing stuff, or any kind of different kind of activity that you can do. Maybe you're interested in dancing or performing, that kind of thing. It depends on, every person's different, but there's many activities out there that you can actually do that give you enjoyment, and that tends to have precedence over most of the other factors. So when it comes to that, you can take many of the tests out there that are like, oh, what occupation you like, based on your interest, like the strong interest inventory, I believe. I'm not sure if you have to pay for that one, but you can probably take some online, and they're all based on what they call Holland codes, but we don't need to get into that. The point is that they're matching your interest with occupations in which people who are successful have the same interest. Now, there is a shortcoming to that approach, and that is that yes, it can match your interest, but it's not necessarily ideal, because maybe you are in a work culture that doesn't fit your personality at all, and you feel like you don't feel well and you're not performing well. Maybe it is in a subject or an industry that it's okay, you like the activity, but it's like meh, because you're not that interested in the topic, in the industry, therefore it's not a passion of yours. And I don't know, maybe it is something in which some of the other factors don't occur. For example, maybe you're not getting the rewards you're interested in. If you are someone who really needs that money coming in at a high level, I don't know, maybe make 6 figures or close to it, or maybe even more, then if you're doing something that's making 50K, 20K, that's probably not going to work out for you in the long term, even if you actually enjoy the activity, right? So what will be my suggestion? Now, I've seen the one, if you're doing the shooter approach, I will recommend you, if you're taking, again, like just one test to narrow down things down, to narrow the options down, I would recommend going for the test, the Career Explorer test. Now, I haven't actually taken this test, and I can't say like, oh, without a fail is the best. However, based on what I've seen on their website with regards to the information that they're gathering from people who take the test, and the information, the things that they take into account in order to match you with a profession, it is considerably more comprehensive as a one-time test than some of the other strong inventory ones that just focus on your interest. Having said that, this is a big disclaimer here. This is not going to be like a silver bullet that's going to solve all your problems and completely help you figure out the one thing that you have to do that's going to be completely amazing and you're going to feel fulfilled because you're working at the best thing that you could be working at, okay? Because I believe they have a free version, but I think it is a shorter test. Yes, they match you with some other things. Yes, it's better than just some of the other tests that just focus on interest. This one focuses on interest, culture, several other things, and they say they do it very shortly. But at the end of the day, again, tests can be very good and they can be robust, but the validity of the tests themselves can vary depending on maybe you were pissed off the day you took the test. Maybe you were a little bit sadder. Maybe you were happier than usual. Maybe you were more interested in a topic than you normally are because you had just seen a documentary that really excited you. So these are some of the things we want to take into account, and that's why sometimes when you test yourself over a period of time and you do it in a more holistic fashion, that can actually give us more information to kind of like back up the claims that one or two of the tests are saying, right? But again, having said that, that will be some of the things that I will suggest if you can go and do it so that it simplifies the process for you, especially if you went with the shooter approach. Now, step 4 is to actually try out the occupations that you've narrowed down. Go in and learn about them online, search about them. Is it a subject that interests you? Is it something that sounds like maybe you could do? Even if it doesn't, you want to go in and learn more about it, learn about the field, learn about the actual work, learn about, especially about the day-to-day, potentially speak with people who are doing it, potentially no. If you're serious about this, you should be doing it. And more than that, you actually need to do the work for a period of time. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily getting a job. That could be being an intern, that could be doing some pro bono work. Think of it as a hobby, right? Like maybe you go into an association and you talk to people who are there doing that, and you get a better feel for what is it that they're doing day to day, how does it feel, are they feeling good about it, are they not? And that'll give you a better idea. At the end of the day, this is something that you have to do. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket, jump into it 2 feet in without knowing if this is something that's actually going to work out for you. Because if you hate the day-to-day, if you hate the process, you're not going to get to the rewards. And finally, step 5, and that is actually settle on the occupation that you like or the job that you are suited for. So what if you try some options and they don't work out? That's fine. Keep trying them out. Keep trying other options. Who knows? Maybe you're not supposed to have a job. Maybe you're supposed to be an entrepreneur. And if so, you can always check my video. I'll put it in the cards here somewhere on vocation of the business leader to give you an idea of how you can figure out if you have the natural inclinations towards being someone who is in control of their own destiny in the sense of having their own business. All right? Alright, so now you know some of the best approaches to actually figuring out what job am I best suited for. And by I mean you. Remember to smash that like button below before you leave and subscribe to this channel since we are publishing videos every single day. Bye-bye.